you very much, Steffi, and thank you, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak in English. It's a better presentation if I do that, given my level of German. But I'd like to spend a little bit of time just talking to you about what we see in the world of overpayments and payment controls and how they can be disrupted by deployments of new technologies, which we see as advances and beneficial steps, but can be temporarily disrupted. Then we'll talk about what you can do about them. Just a quick background on Apex Analytics and why this is a subject that I'm talking about today. Apex Analytics is a company that has about 250 customers in the Global 2000, Fortune 1000, the largest companies in every category that you would know about. And altogether, we're performing about 200 accounts payable recovery audits every year. This is more than any provider in the world. All told, we're analyzing around $9 trillion in spend every year. And using our technology and our audit services, our customers are preventing or recovering about $8 billion in overpayments every year. We've been doing this for 35 years and continuing to advance the technology with AI, as well as technology that is useful for preventing the root causes of overpayments. So I want to just jump right into a couple of scenarios that tend to cause overpayments to increase, and then we'll talk about why they increase and what you can do about them. So here is one case study from one of our actual clients who uses our software to combine information across multiple ERP systems to evaluate whether they're making duplicate payments in their processes. Those duplicate payments could be happening within one ERP, or maybe they have invoices being processed in two ERPs, but it's the same invoice. And this is an example. They went from an on-premise ERP solution to a cloud solution. And you can see two major spikes that happened as they did two waves of deployment of their ERP solution. It was a 1,600% increase in duplicate payments immediately at the time of the new ERP implementation. And the reason that this happens in the case of new ERP implementations is that typically when you have two ERPs, the invoice processing rules are slightly different. They may even be invoices being received in two different places. And the standard duplicate payment controls that are in most people's environments are within a single ERP. So an invoice can easily be entered into the old version of the ERP and the new version of the ERP and not get caught through the normal duplicate checking process. So they had two waves, huge spike, and then after a little bit, the spike settled down. Another example is a company that deployed an e-invoicing solution. In this case, they deployed Coupa, which is a very powerful e-invoicing solution with very powerful three-way matching. And we consider deploying e-invoicing a very good step to preventing future duplicate payments. But this isn't an issue that just happens with Coupa. It happens with every e-invoicing solution. When the e-invoicing solution is first introduced, suppliers don't trust it. So they continue to send paper invoices or PDF invoices, as well as invoices through the new e-invoicing platform. And when they do that, the processing of the invoice number or the invoice date tends to vary between the paper or PDF process and the e-invoicing process. And because of that, duplicate payments get get posted and often paid. In this case, it was about a 600% increase in duplicate payments in the 3 months immediately after the deployment of the e-invoicing solution. So how do these things happen? Because every ERP system and every e-invoicing solution has built into it its own duplicate payment controls and other sorts of overpayment controls. We see that there's a 1-2 punch to the control gaps that lead to overpayments. Multiple invoice submission methods, which we described as e-invoicing and paper invoicing. So the suppliers submit their invoices in 2 different ways because they're scared that you won't have received their invoices. So then you would expect, okay, there's a potential for me to receive invoices in 2 different ways, but won't my 3-way matching or invoice approval process catch this duplicate invoice? Well, what we find in most companies is it's very easy for the approver of the invoice or the receiving department to make a mistake when asked to approve an invoice a second time. If it's a service invoice and someone just has to say, yes, the service was provided, often when they get a duplicate request to replace it, to approve an invoice, they just get angry with accounts payable and they say, I thought I approved this yesterday, and they just approve it again. Or maybe it's a good that was supposed to be received and the people in the warehouse get a notice that says, hey, we have an invoice with no receipt. The people in the warehouse go, I'm pretty sure I received this yesterday. Let me go receive it again. So there are these other steps in the control process that get triggered where errors get made by the receiving department or the invoice approvers that cause these duplicate invoices to sail through. Vendor master problems are key sources of these issues as well. If I have 2 vendors set up in my system that look very similar, maybe I've accidentally created the exact same vendor twice, or there are 2 that are very similar, the accounts payable department may post the same invoice to 2 different vendor masters. There are many other examples of how this occurs, but those are a few examples. Then you layer in an ERP implementation or an M&A where there are 2 ERPs being used for a short period of time, as well as a change process. We talked about e-invoicing deployments and other technical changes like that. They can all create scenarios like this. I mentioned the approval problem. Another problem that happens with invoices is the duplicate checks that are inside the major ERP systems are very limited. For example, in SAP, 6 fields, it's really more than this, but 6 meaningful fields have to match exactly for an invoice to be considered a duplicate. But if there are minor discrepancies in the invoice numbers, or you put a date or a purchase order in the invoice number field, a different currency code, and several other errors, if any of those things change, then SAP will let the invoice sail right through. So that's the beginning of the problem for you. And duplicate invoices get submitted, and then the controls inside a given ERP aren't quite tight enough. And then, of course, if you have multiple ERPs, that presents more issues. We do recovery audit work at Apex, so usually 90 days or a year after an invoice has been posted, companies dump all of their invoice transactions to Apex, and we put that information through a very robust set of analytics, including AI, and have experts review the transactions that are revealed by that technology, and then we collaborate with your suppliers to recover the money. And you can see there are significant recoveries in every industry The percentage of invoices that are actual overpayments are small, but anytime you're multiplying a small number by a big number like $10 billion in spend, the amount of money that's recovered through our processes is very significant, over $1 million and often over $3 million. Those audits do two things. They analyze your transactions for duplicates that can be determined just by looking at the transactions. We also contact the suppliers and request statements on your account, and then compare those statements with your own accounts payable records to identify any cases where maybe someone returned goods and there's a credit on your account with the supplier, but accounts payable wasn't aware of it. So we go recover that money for you. It's a commissioned business, so there's no upfront cost, and Apex gets paid out of the money that we recover. Now, we not only do that recovery, but we provide a root cause analysis with an extensive report that helps you identify corrective actions and gaps that you may have so that you can close those and prevent any errors in the future. And then, of course, any cash that's refunded gets put back to your bottom line, or some companies use the money that's been refunded through or recovered through the AP recovery audit to fund technology improvements, maybe to fund your e-invoicing program, or to fund the software that can be run day in and day out to catch these overpayments before they go out the door. For example, the software that we use in our audit is available as everyday operational software that many of our clients run on a daily basis to catch the overpayments before the payment run goes out. And then there are many other root cause analysis or root causes that can be addressed with technology that can be funded with the proceeds of a recovery audit. So vendor master management automation, providing invoices and payments in a portal that a supplier can see so that they can have visibility to whether you've already received their invoice or not and when it's going to be paid. One of the main reasons you get duplicate invoices is a supplier isn't confident that you've received their invoice, and so they send it to you again, and that can create a problem. So providing that information to them in a portal that they can access 24/7 is a nice way to prevent overpayments as well. We have just 1 minute to go. Are there any questions from the audience? I think the main thing to remember is anytime you have a disruption or a change in your business process, it can create a circumstance where overpayments will be multiplied. And you need to pay particularly close attention during those times. Make sure you're comparing invoices processed in your two environments if you're doing an ERP migration to make sure that no invoices have been duplicated in that process. When you're deploying e-invoicing, make sure that you're locking down the supplier to one invoice submission method only, and then make sure that you're doing a robust comparison between any invoices that come through via paper or PDF with those that come through electronically. So with that, we're done. Thank you very, very much for attending. If you want to talk with us, we're happy to give you more details about any of these solutions at the Apex Analytics booth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danny Thompson. So are there maybe now any questions left for Danny Thompson by Apex Analytics? Do you have a question? We have a microphone. Okay, just give us a second so all of us can understand you. Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to get the slides of the talk.
A copy of this.
It was very nice.
Thank you.
Okay, or maybe you can talk at the booth afterwards. Okay, I don't see any questions left. So thank you so much, Danny Thompson, Apex Analytics.
Thank you.
This is your applause.